So I look at it like this. We walk into this place and everybody's strangers, right? And the danger dances in eyes to realize that we could fly if we just hold each other tight. With no expectation. The sensation takes us where it takes us, and the kiss leads to the madness, and the madness leads to the bliss. And sometimes we just dance naked in the rain. Sometimes we sit there fully dressed trying to explain, why didn't I take that moment? And why didn't that moment last?
So good. Okay, I'm gonna stop it.
Hi, I'm Corrin. This podcast is called The Ache, an ode to the existential ache of being human. That still small voice tugging inside every single one of us, prompting us to change, move, grow, become more of our authentic selves. This is conversations with people who dance with the ache.
Everybody who asks me what the show is, I go, it is what it is. It's just come see it. You know, there's 4 different variations of it. You know, one is like, the petite, which is everything is off the cuff. Then there's Harvell's, which is more of a staple of choreographed pieces and set songs. But they all have that weird thread of like off the cuffness. But yeah, I just say it is what it is because you can't put it in a genre.
No.
It's like, I get bored with trying to explain shit. You know what I mean? Because you can't explain it. It's like, just come.
You really can't.
What it is what it is when you see it. That's what it is.
That is the voice of Toledo, a singer, performer, dancer, choreographer, and totally uniquely singular artist who has been my friend for, I guess, about 6 or 7 years now. I met him and started performing with him in one of his shows every Friday night that he does at Petit Hermitage. It is a fully improvisational music and dance show, and I've really never seen anything like it anywhere else. And experiencing it, if you can get out and experience his show, I highly recommend it. It's just fully immersive and completely unique. Toledo is one of the major influences in my life artistically, not only because he embraces both darkness and abstract, macabre, as well as the lightness and the humor and the playfulness, but because he trusts himself. He gets up every Friday night, not really knowing what he's going to sing or do exactly, and opens his mouth and trusts what's going to come out. And that changed me. Performing with him week after week completely changed me and bolstered a lot of my trust in myself.
It's really funny. When I first started, I had a guy named Jeff Connors who played bass for me, right? And he looked at me and he goes, you know what? He goes, you don't realize. He goes, but one day your world's gonna open up in your mind and you're gonna want violins and opera. And I never forgot that. And I just, because back then I was having, a hard enough time just being on stage looking at people.
I can't even imagine that.
Oh yeah, I was definitely afraid of it. I was like, that's why I wore like really dark glasses, because I had to have my eyes closed the whole time. I said, I'm not looking at a single person. So when he said that, I just looked at him like, okay, if you say so. But that stuck with me, because here it is, like years later, like it's true. Your mind opened. Your mind is as vast as what you let in, and I've met so many incredible people, and each person brings a thing I've never experienced or would have never thought of. And in the journey of relinquishing control, I realized that that's the magic, because you get exposed to things you couldn't. No matter what you create, it's one dimensional. I don't care if it's 50 dimensional. It's still one dimensional. You know what I mean? Because it's coming from your thought. But like when I met you, right? You brought in a different texture. You know what I mean? And it opened up the world to go to different places. Some kind of, softer, but like softer in tonality, but really twisted too. You know what I mean? Like there's a rich decadence in like when we used to sing together.
It was the best.
And I love how fucking witty you are. Like you're really, really, really fucking witty. Like I would be like this. Those are some badass lyrics. Yeah. I love those days.
You challenged me when we would perform together because you're so good. You've been doing. How many years have you been doing this?
I don't know. At least 2. No, I actually started. I just found somebody sent me my first record. Right, it was in '95. That's when Spotlights came out. I didn't even know that. Yeah. Because I was I was 3 years sober. That makes perfect sense because I got sober in '92 and did my first thing and it's so that's what I started.
How influential was getting sober in your journey in terms of like going into music the way that you did? Because you were a choreographer when you were using, right?
I was, sometimes, and sometimes I was just a hoodlum. It was everything. When I was getting loaded, I couldn't show up for shit. Kenny Ortega was one of my mentors, and he's one of the guys that I met him when I was, I think, 18, and he directed I'm So Excited, and I ended up being the dancer in it, and he looked at me and he goes, TC, do a solo. So I do this thing, right? That's how we met. And then after that, we became friends. He became like a mentor. Because like I was a street taught dancer, so I never did, But he taught me how to understand movement. Like he broke it down in a way where my left foot and my right foot, could do what he was asking me to do in my head. You know what I mean? Like in my head, I saw it and I could do it. And then later on, when I became a choreographer, I never forgot that. Explaining things in layman terms and making everybody believe that they could do anything. All you gotta do is just do the steps.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple. And he loved me a lot, but I was such a fuck up. I was like ridiculously out of my mind all the time.
Because you were on drugs, or because
that didn't help. I was out of my mind just from living, but the drugs took me to a whole other place, crazy place. Like I remember one time we were doing. So check this out. We do this movie Salsa, right? I'm high every day, and the shoot times didn't start till like 6 or 7 at night. Our call time was at 7. I'd be in Bakersfield in a trailer park because I did a speedball with some woman I met, and I'm like, okay, I got to get out of here at some point. So everybody would cover for me, right? We had the scene, and they're like, "Where's TC? He's over there. He's brushing his teeth." Finally, I get there. You know what I mean? I'm twisted. But that was so we do this movie Salsa. It was really fun, and I was fucked up. And then after that, I ended up in a fight with this guy who came to my friend Frankie's house, right? And make a long story short, I do my number on him. I fuck him up. He's fucked up. I got to go to jail for a year. So now I'm in now I'm in Twin Towers, right? I get out of Twin Towers. I have to show up at a news conference for a TV show, Dirty Dancing, the series. So
Because you worked on it.
no, we hadn't even done it yet, but he cast me for it. So I do salsa. I get in a fight. I do this jail thing. I get out. I got one shoe on. I'm in like, khakis that don't fit. I get on the bus. I go to Universal and I'm in the press conference. Hi. And Kenny looked at me like this. Are you for real? I'm like, how you doing? So being fucked up, there was no way I could have ever sang. You know what I mean? That was not even happening. But yeah, somewhere along the way I got sober. And then I did a poem at this place called Mac's Garage, which used to be the old Musicians Union on Vine.
A poem of yours?
Yeah. So Mac's Garage was this cool underground fucking place where just crazy musicians used to go, like Bronx Style Bob Angelo from Fishbone, Macy Gray, Tom Waits. All these cats used to go there. Chucky Weiss. And you'd walk in and you'd see Angelo with the saxophone, Bronx Style Bob. It was like beatnik, but it wasn't a contrived thing. It just was what it was. And this guy, the bass player, Jeff Connors, this is before he was my bass player. I used to be a choreographer and I used to write poetry, and he read one that says, "Come down, blah, blah, blah." I do this thing. This guy comes up to me, Danny Saber, and blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, I'm at a party like 3 years later, right? Yeah. And this woman, she goes, I'm at Malik's show, right? And she goes, "You want to come with me in my car?" Absolutely. And so, so we go to her car and we're sitting there. She goes, "I want to play something for you." And she goes, "It's called acid jazz," right? I'm like, okay. And she plays it and I'm listening to this music. And then I hear the lyrics. I'm like, wait a minute. I go, I know this song. I go, I know that guy. And I go, she goes, "Who's that guy?" I go, "It's me." She goes, "No, it's not." I go, "Yeah, it's really me." She goes, "My boyfriend owns this label. We were looking for that guy." I go, "Hi, I'm the guy." She takes me in. I meet her boyfriend. They have a label called Moonshine Music. I end up, they go, you want to be on our label?" I'm like, "Okay." And so I go, "Now what?" And then I called my friend Spider, who was quite possibly the best saxophone player in the world. He's the first guy I ever saw play 2 saxophones at once with Chucky Weiss. And I called him, I go, "Spider, I just got a record deal. Want to be in my band?" He goes, "Okay." I go, "Now what?" And so I called Paula, I called Kiva. Paula came later. Paula ended up actually doing my record, but Kiva, who was also one of my best friends, and who used to assist me when I used to do choreography, I go, "Kiva, I got a record deal, and they want me to do a showcase." I go, "And I got this idea. Why don't I choreograph a number and have you dance, right?" And 2 other people that used to perform with me, they said they wanted to do it too. And that's how the Toledo show became the Toledo show. The first time I ever performed, I had dancers. And because I always thought music and dance were synonymous. And back then, nobody, it was no, you know what I mean? People used to look at me, "What? You got what?" It was a really funny thing, and we tour all over the U.S. and people would trip out. And it was wild, so.
Well, because it's unique.
Yeah,
like what you do is unique.
Yeah.
You know? Did you feel, so you had to wear the sunglasses when you first performed?
Oh my God, yeah.
Because you were freaked out or what?
Oh yeah, it was like, well, when I was a kid, my cousin used to doo-wop. I used to go to Compton every summer, right? And they'd be doo-wopping, my cousin Pancho. And so one day I went in and I'm singing along with him, and he looked at me and goes, "Punk, you can't sing," and he hit me in my chest. I never sang again. How old was I, 7, 8? Never, until I was grown. So, and it's really funny. I never forgot that, and like that's one of those things that always stuck in my head, because with my kids, I've never once told them you can't do it. I've never called them stupid. I've never said it's a dumb idea. I've never even told them to shut up. You know what I mean? Because words are more brutal than straight razors. You know what I mean? Like, I've been cut and stabbed all over, and nothing hurts as bad as like words like that from people you love, like, you know, your cousins, your mother. You know what I mean? So anyway.
No, I think that's huge, because the medium you work in is words. The medium you work with is words, and like crafting words and giving words to an audience. And you are not someone who shies away from like dark topics. You're not someone who's afraid of mirroring life back to people. Like, one thing that struck me when I very first saw your show was you did like you did several numbers, but one that I remembered, and I don't know if you remember this because it's always off the cuff, right? But it was about like a guy going crazy and climbing the side of the house, which you often do, this one, but it was an emotional one. It was like he climbed up to see this girl.
Roshanak Malaguti, true story. I climbed up 4 stories on Doheny. This fucking girl, Roshanak. Oh my God. We met. She didn't even like me, right? I was like, okay. Then we became friends. Then she proceeded to tell me about every single person on the planet she was fucking. I was like, okay, that's cool. Just biding my time. We're like, it's all right. I go, one day, Roche, you know, we'll end up together. Blah, 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 blah. So I call her up one day. It's pouring rain, right? Call her from payphone. I go, Roche, I'm coming. She says, if you can get up. Climbed up the side of her building and knocked on the thing. I kissed her. She moved me in, and that was that. And she used to say, Michel Shemetz, which in Persian is, I want to kill you. Like, every time, I love that word. Because I want to kill you, but in the best of ways. So anyway, yeah, so that song.
Well, I remember that song because it touched me. First of all, I'm sitting there crying my face off because you did it so poetically, which this happens to me often when I watch you perform. But it's a thing that I come up against as an artist, right? Because I write horror movies. I write stuff that's kind of dark, or I don't think it's dark. I think it's a release, like an opportunity for people to have an emotional release, like watching this in a safe way. But, you know, I come up against, like, people always want to tell you some shit about what you do.
Yeah.
And it's fine. You know, I hear it, whatever. But the commentary I get often is, oh, it's so dark. Oh, it's so... And I always wondered with your work, because you're not scared of that. And, like, obviously you've been through dark shit. But to take that and do it night after night, and to be willing to just... And with you have such a... how do I describe this? Because it's not like flippant. It's not a flippancy. It's like a sacred profane. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and I wonder about your relationship to that, like to the darkness, to the sacred profane.
Yeah. You know, when I came to a realization one day, a long time ago. You only have 2 choices with fear. It's either your nemesis or it's your ally, right? Half the time I was loaded is because of my fear of not having what was in my head come out of my mouth and be in front of me so I could see it, you know? And I was like, I'd rather just, you know, be on the nod for a while because I couldn't figure it out, right? So once I figured that out, because I don't know about you, but I would imagine we're always afraid of something, everything, you know. And it's like fear is a funny thing. It either lets you explode, you know what I mean, so you can have it in front of you and play with it, or it implodes, you know what I mean, where you shoot heroin, you know what I mean, or hang yourself, one of the 2, you know. So once I made friends with that, everything's changed. You know what I mean? Like just in talking and writing, and I only know how to write one way, or from what, you know what I mean, from the pain and the joy of what's in my body's memories, you know. And it's funny because I don't think of it as dark. I just think of it as it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we were downtown, we were doing a speedball, and someone's brains got blown out. It is what it is. You know what is a funny fine line that, like, people have said this, because like we touch on so many things. Like when I'm talking about like a love affair that's everything but only in the span of an hour in a motel room, that shit's real. It's like, you know, in that moment, it's everything you are and will be is inside of the other person, right? And to talk about the smells and the scents and the things without it being this, like, words are funny. You can say the word fuck, right? It's how you say it, right? You can say the word fuck and everybody can understand it, or you can say it in a way where people go, ew. Like out here, like sometimes I hear people do things or say things, and it's just cringy.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know whether they're saying it for shock value or it's gratuitous. It doesn't feel like breathing.
Yeah.
You know?
I think for me, like, something that I've always thought that it was is twofold, like energetic intention.
Right.
So like where it's coming from inside of you.
Okay.
Like you said, it doesn't feel like breathing. It's not a natural thing.
Yeah.
They're doing it for a result.
Yes.
They're not doing it for the pleasure of doing it.
Yeah. When someone tells the truth, good, bad, or indifferent, people can respect it and relate to it, because when you tell the truth, it taps into everybody else's truth in the room, because everybody has felt the exact same feeling, no matter how, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's felt the exact same things, and if you're true, people tap into it subconsciously. You know, like, it's weird, like, you know.
Get him up here.
I know, I miss my main man. How you doing over there? So anyway, so it's just funny how you describe a scene and how you use words, you know. Plus, I'm such a romantic at heart. You know what I mean? Like, I really am in love with romance, and I love words, and I love the beauty of feeling whimsical. You know, even if I'm in a Shell gas station bathroom behind the toilet, you know, looking for a hit so I can, you know, smoke crack. It's the way you say it. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, like, oh my God, I think about that. Like that, you know, like me and Angie, we were doing a commercial, and there was a long break, which they never should have gave us. And I was like, Angie, wanna go do it? So we go to the Shell station bathroom. Used to be right on Figueroa, right? Psst. Okay, let's go to Sun Valley. Now we're in Sun Valley. I'm doing speedballs, and I have my shotgun, and there's this bag, right, like a little paper bag, and I knew there was somebody in that bag. For 2 hours, I sat there with my shotgun cocked. When it comes out, I'm killing it. And it's summertime. All of a sudden, morning's coming, and I'm still standing here. I'm sweating. I got a shotgun. We're supposed to be on set. You know.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? They shouldn't have had such a long fucking break.
Why'd they take such a long break?
Who's the first AD?
It's crazy.
It is.
Yeah, I just loved the way you put that, like, about, like, how you frame something, or how you put it out there into the world, because that's what's gonna make people receive it or not, and it has to be coming from that true place inside you. What's your favorite part about, I suppose it's probably hard to choose a favorite part, but your favorite part about performing? Is it a feeling inside of you? Is it something external that you get?
Yeah. It's the closest to God and the devil I'll ever be. You know what I mean? Like, it is the closest to God and the devil I can ever be. And I love that feeling. And it's a funny place you're in. It's better than any drug I've ever done. You know what I mean? I won't say it's greater than probably. It goes beyond sex. It goes beyond. It's just this feeling, you know. And I'm completely in. It's funny because I'm completely engulfed in it. I'm aware as it's happening, and I'm unconscious because after it's done, I can't remember a single thing you know what I mean? That's why I record it. Because people go, remember when you did this? I'm like, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, because, I mean, especially with, like, the Petite show, right? Because it's all improvisational. Like, one thing I wanted to bring up today, too, about that and, like, exactly what you're talking about, that feeling of, like, touching God is what I always, like, call it. It's, like, this feeling of touching God that, as an artist, I think you can get, or as a human, you could get through many different ways, but artists, I think it's a special thing when you, like, plug into that source and you're pulling something down through it and it's coming through you. And for me, I can pinpoint, and I know other artists too that is this working? Yes, I know other artists too that have said this to me about you and performing in your show, which is that performing with you and in your show made me trust myself as an artist so much more. There was, like, before Toledo and after Toledo.
BT and AT.
That's right. That's right, because for me, seeing you get up every week, being in the show with you, I don't know, what did I do, like a year and a half, 2 years with you? Yeah. Being there every week, watching you get up, have no fucking idea what you're going to say. Tell the violinist, give me something dark. You don't know what's going to come out of that violin. They start playing, and then you start talking and singing. And for me, watching you do that and watching you do it well and do it in a way that compelled an audience every week, and have people, remember Kenny, like, flew in to see you one week, people flying in to see you, flying you all over the place to have you do your thing. It changed me. And after I performed with you, I realized, and you told me, I think one day you told me, you're just like, you just have to, like, I can't remember what you said, but you're like, you just have to, like, trust yourself and just open your mouth and, like, trust that words are going to come out and that song is going to come out of you. Yeah. And I did, and it did. Yeah. And I would shock myself, like you said, every week, because I would be like, whoa, I can't believe I came up with that. But it taught me that there's way more capacity that I have and that every artist has, because you have a way of facilitating a space where people have room to try things, but not too much room that they're, like, taking over the whole thing. Yeah, right. But there's room for people to experiment with that feeling, and you do it well, and you do it all the time, and you're practiced in tapping into that source. But I don't know. This isn't really a question. I just wanted to say that and then see what you had to say about that.
It's, you know, I finally started saying, you know what, it's the playground of the unbound. You know, it's like, it's a safe haven for everyone to let their angels and demons out. You know, it is, because I remember not too long ago there was this woman who. Well, there's been a couple times, but this one woman just came out I don't know what she was doing. But the bottom line was she was doing it. And it was live, right? Like, you only got the moment that you're in. And when it was done, everybody cheered her. Because you got two things. You could either be a fucking clown, right? Which makes the whole experience fucked up for the whole room, for the girl, for me. Or it could be what it was, and we embrace it, and everybody in the room supported it. You know what I mean? And I'd rather have that feeling all day, because, and in that moment, that person believed she could do anything because she was doing anything. No one stopped her, right? So, and like when I remember when I used to choreograph for people, I'd work with different artists and music execs, or stand back here. They never wanted anyone to, upstage the artist, which I thought was the most ridiculous fucking thing in the world. I want to be surrounded by the baddest motherfuckers on the planet because it only makes you better. If I meet someone, all of a sudden they're doing something that's just like mind-boggling, it's like, whoa. And it's not a competition, but it propels your soul to meet their moment. And now you got everybody going to this place, you know what I mean, that you wouldn't have gone to. And so I never understood, I want to be around the greatest musicians, you know what I mean? That's what I mean by that is like that exude their passions. I want to be around the baddest dancers. I want to be a singer, everything. Because it only makes you rise to the bar that's being set,
Yeah.
And everybody, you know what I mean. So yeah. So that's how I feel. I feel like it's a place where and so many people, especially lately, have been not in a show offy way, but in a this thing is in me and I have to let it go, and they let it go, and everybody receives them. Nobody's like, oh, why that person? You know what I mean? There's none of that in the room.
It's so important to like have that energy that is you create as the person that's like running the room and like being the guy,
right? The
head honcho of the room. And you have that energy in you where you like let people come and put their thing out there. I used to call it my paid therapy. And where I'm getting paid to do my therapy. And have you ever read the book Psycho Magic? Do you know Jodorowsky's like concept? You know who Jodorowsky is, the filmmaker? Okay. He like made these crazy movies like a long time ago and in like the 70s, I think.
Like what?
Holy Mountain. Did you ever see that?
Well, I think you told me about
Topo,
that.
yeah. He has made several like they're very avant-garde and not a lot of like dialogue, and it's like weird.
Wait a minute. You know what? Wait. I think I looked something up on YouTube. Maybe you told me
about Psycho.
I'm like, wait a minute. I do know that name. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, he has this concept, Psycho Magic, and it reminds me of you. I mean, the book's right there on my shelf, but he came up with this thing where it was like, Psycho Magic is performing acts that are like therapeutic in front of an audience or like in front of people. Okay. And one thing he did preceding like prescribing people psychomagic acts to do was he had a theater troupe where he would let people kind of like in the petite box where he would let people come up and do whatever they wanted to do. And this would be like crazy things that we wouldn't do now necessarily, but like, had a woman like dancing ballet and peeing herself like nude or like something you'd see at the box.
Yeah, I was gonna say, at the box you'd see it.
Yeah, but
you might see it in petite. I mean,
at a certain hour of the
night. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
you never
dawn.
know when the eggs are coming out.
Exactly. 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 But yeah, it's the thing that I was, I think, getting to is just this like this therapeutic nature that what you said, like this thing inside of you that needs to get out.
Yeah.
And like what you said before about like the fear, the darkness, the terror, whatever, it's either going to implode on you or it's going to explode.
I'd rather look back on life in the book of I can't believe I did, as opposed to those one or two I wish I would have. That's the thorn in your fucking brain you can never get out. I wish I would haunt you, because because there was a woman once, and she's like, I could kick myself because I wish I would have, and it's like, yeah, well, because you only got, and then there's other people you meet, and it was like, I was so afraid, and I just did it, and I feel like, because you only got the moment that you're in, and then it's gone, it's gone, and then, there's another moment, but that moment's gone, and so it's amazing when you meet, I meet more women than men that jump in, I've had guys jump in too, you know what I mean, and that's been really fun, and we'll dance together and blah 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 blah. But I meet so many women that have this thing that, like, they want to move and they want to, and it's been bottled, I don't know why, you know what I mean, like, who knows why, but when they release it, it changes everything, you know what I mean. I know from the people who've been on my show, like, I've met, like, the women who've been on my show. It's so funny because we're all very similar, like what brings people to the show. We're this weird collection of misfit toys that fit, because everybody's coming with their scars, and then when they get in, they wear the scars like badges of honor, and they become these beautiful things that, take everybody to the crazy different places that we go to. Like, I think about everybody that I just recently that have come and gone through the show, and they come back. Everybody goes on their own journeys. Like, look at you. You know what I mean? You're the intimate coordinator. Who's a Christian?
Hey, was.
But you see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's funny how, not saying that has anything to do with it, but it's funny how these people we meet, they come in and they feed their souls in a way that makes them hungry to go out and know they can feed on the flesh of their own, you know what I mean, own personal passions.
It changed me entirely. Yeah. I mean, I had to, at the time that I came into the show, I had taken a break from, I hadn't taken a break from making the films. I was still making them, but I was just in a place where I wasn't I just wasn't confident in myself in the room.
Right.
I wasn't confident in myself to figure it out.
Right.
I felt like I needed to know everything ahead of time and be very prepared and like, and I was that way when I first came to the show. I was worried about it, and you were like, why don't you, I'll never forget. I was like, maybe my first time in the show, and I was like, okay, so like, what should I do? Should I do this? And you looked at me with those eyes, those wide eyes, like, what the fuck? And you were like, why don't you sit down and have a drink? And you said, you'll know when it's time to go.
Yeah.
And I did know when it was time to go, and I stood up and I did my thing. But the show did change. I mean, me expressing myself in that way and being able to come in, trust that I was going to get up and stand and sing in front of a room full of people every Friday night and have no idea what the fuck I was going to say. and standing up and doing that changed how I approach filmmaking.
Right.
And I trust myself when I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And when I don't know what other people are going to do. And I used to feel so nervous in those types of moments, and now I'm like up for the challenge because it's exciting.
Yeah.
And that started with being in your show.
Right. And that's another thing of the fear becoming your ally, not your nemesis. That's because I'm always nervous. And I hope I always stay nervous because it keeps you humble too. There's a certain, because it's funny, no matter how many times I do it, I still never know what's going to come out of my mouth. Like I don't. I was like, what's it going to be today? Just like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the sound? It's funny because every time is always like the first time, which is really bizarre. And you coming into the show also changed the way the show went. Like everybody that comes in brings it. Like it still had a darkness, but we went to these fun, melodic, lighter places. It's like, which probably wouldn't have happened if you hadn't have come in at the time that you came. And I think of people like Katie. I remember the first time she ever did a poem, and how and now, you know what I mean? There are all these beautifully talented individuals that I get to be a part of. You know what I mean? Like you say, I run the show, but I really don't. It's like we all do. Like we set a pulse together, and I trust everyone in the room. Like I don't have a second thought I don't care who starts it. Like if a cello starts it, or if the drums, or you know what I mean. Like we all take turns leading the ship, and the conversation is fluid and it dances. No one is dictating to everybody. We're all talking, and we're all listening, more importantly.
Hopefully.
Yeah, right. Yeah, true. Yeah, there are all those people like, what was he thinking?
And those moments are fun too.
Yeah.
Well, would you be willing to reach up and touch source and trust the unknown and do a little impromptu poem?
Sure.
For the people and me and Dooley and your main man.
My main man!
Who's being such a dick today.
I know. I was all excited to see him, and there he is.
He's been weird lately. He misses his dad, I think.
So, I look at it like this. We walk into this place and everybody's strangers, right? And the danger dances in eyes to realize that we can fly if we just hold each other tight. With no expectation. The sensation takes us where it takes us, and the kiss leads to the madness, and the madness leads to the bliss. And sometimes we just dance naked in the rain. Sometimes we sit there fully dressed trying to explain, why didn't I take that moment? And why didn't that moment last?
So good. Okay, I'm going to stop it.
Thank you for listening to The Ache. This podcast is produced by myself, Corrin Evans, and Alexis Murphy. All the music you hear is original compositions by my friend Peter Colombo. All other pertinent information will be linked in the show notes, and thank you for listening.